Welcome,
Thank you.
Miss Ruth Francis. It was a very great pleasure to hear you in such a beautiful and professional environment. You had so important messages. I want to hear such messages again in front of the camera.
Oh, that's absolutely fine. So earlier I was very lucky to obviously speak on a panel representing CILT International and our partners here in CILT Turkey. And I spoke about some of the theories behind not only human capital development, which I think many of us, we're familiar with the language, but not necessarily the thinking behind it. But most importantly is the link between a professional body like CILT and how that feeds human capital development. And honestly, before I started with CILT, I had not worked for a professional body before. So the first thing that I asked myself was, well, what makes this a profession? And so I did some research and some reading, and I collated that together, and that's where I found those kind of 4 key themes that dictate what is deemed to be a profession and what is not. And it's that shared ethical understanding, which I think maybe as a profession is something collectively we actually maybe need to do some thinking about, because I think we do it, but it's not as clear as kind of the Hippocratic Oath like you have in medicine. You have to fulfill a societal need, which obviously we do. You have to have skills that you cannot naturally pick up through lived experience, and you have to have a specialized body of knowledge. So once I saw that tick list, I thought, well, of course we're a profession. But interestingly, I was chatting to one of the listeners earlier, and he said, why do you think, or how do we get people into logistics, younger people? And I said, they need to know it's there, first and foremost. And I think once you know it's there, and we start those conversations very early, and the language of logistics permeates children's conversations and young people's conversations like medicine, engineering, law, teaching does, then you really start to, again, bolster that impression of this being a profession. Because it's one thing for us to believe it, but for the world to then recognize that too, only then helps to change things and to bolster it.
Yes, you are occupied on the side of education, of course.
Yeah,
I think it's the most difficult part of this business. What's your impression about education level? Is that really a big problem, or state by state, of course, it can be improved? What can you say something about this reality?
Yours is an interesting sector because unlike other professions, its recognition by academic institutions is probably only been in the last 15 years. And I think they were quite astute in that they spotted that there was a whole industry with very specialized skills, with specialist knowledge, that many people had learned on the job over a number of years. And I think the academics spotted that and said, actually, hang on a second, we can turn this into an area of academics. So that's helping to push things forward. But I think most of us would probably agree that whatever you get in university does not necessarily get enacted in the workplace. Theory, practice, very, very different. So in terms of the education, I think higher education institutions have done a fantastic job of bringing this sector into the sphere of professionalism. But now what we need to do is, it's a niche, it's a vocation, it's a practical subject. So we need to work probably with higher education institutions alongside the actual companies that operate in this space to make sure that we're equipping them with the skills. Because this is an industry where you need to hit the ground running. There is an expectation you know how to actually operate in a warehouse, or you know how to complete a bill of lading or whatever it might be. And it's very different, I think, from other sectors where there is a transition period from academia and your degree into the workplace. So there are things to be done. There are gaps, definitely. And because you progress so quickly, everything's changing in this industry far, far more quickly than other industries. I did biochemistry at university. The laws of biochemistry have not really changed vastly in the last 20 years, but your industry looks totally different. So learning in your industry is even more important. But it's important that companies recognize just because you teach doesn't mean they have learned. So making sure that you're employing the right people with the knowledge of human development and andragogy, which is the way that adults learn, is a really, really important thing.
I want to hear something about such kind of international societies like CILT and another similar organization. How do you see such kind of organization role in education or influencing the people behaviors?
It's the people are your most important asset. A profession does not exist without the people within it and acting that profession. So professional bodies they're intrinsic to that process of development, and education sits as part of that development process. So people are working in the industry. One company may well be innovating, finding more efficient ways to work or more effective ways to work, and they keep it within their little silo. But if people within that institution and that company are part of a professional body, those professional discussions go out of their organization into a broader network. Those ideas get taken to another institution who try them out for themselves, they iterate, they improve, they talk again. And then before you know it, those innovations are becoming standard practices. And standard practices lead to new knowledge. But it also helps us with obtaining our sustainable development goals as well, because we have to create infrastructure and innovation as part of that. And provide decent work and economic growth. So professional bodies and working together like that and taking learning as a way to drive the profession forward in a constant cycle, I think will not only help with effective and efficiency for your companies and their bottom lines, but it will help with the industry as a whole.
Thank you. I think you should have some specific or spatial impression about the place of women in logistics sector. Can you share your impression when you look around or you are walking in the hall? What is your impression?
In here?
Yes, in the fair.
I think the level of innovation and creativity and the variety, and I think somebody touched on this earlier, was that logistics isn't just warehousing, inventory, customs procedures. There's law, there's insurance. And speaking to Berna previously, she said, nothing moves in my company without legal saying yes. So there's an opportunity, even if you're not going to be a logistician or a transport expert. I think there's something for everybody in this industry. And it's fascinating when you do a career and you build a career. And sometimes I look at other people's jobs and I think, oh, I couldn't do that. But here, genuinely, everywhere I look, I think that is fascinating. Maybe I leave education, maybe I just actually go and work in logistics. It's that exciting.
Thank you. I am so happy to hear such things from you. If you want to say something to Turkish logistic sector or specifically for the women in this sector, what will you have your main message in a short words? Looking into the camera, yes.
I think looking around the hall, what you can see is not necessarily representation right now for women at all levels in logistics and transport, but what you can see is opportunity. And I think professional bodies who are making an effort to not only increase that representation, but to mentor others so that they continue to rise through the ranks. And people like Willat and Berna at CILT Turkey are doing fantastic work in that space. So if you do not see yourself yet, do not worry. There is opportunity and there is support.
Thank you very much. It was a beautiful surprise for us because I wanted really to hear you and to invite you to the seat.
Thank you.
And I hope it should be an inspiring conversation with you, and we will share this video with our audience. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. It was lovely to meet you.